You've got to desire it as intensely as you need oxygen to survive. And when you crave it with that level of intensity, when you're prepared to dedicate yourself completely, you'll obtain a significant portion of what you're pursuing, and existence and aspirations do materialize into reality. Anything you desire can manifest and transform into something tangible. I hold this belief with absolute conviction, and I'll maintain that conviction until my final breath. All right. Select effort above your justifications and feelings. Regardless of what emotions you're experiencing in the present, choose to act while experiencing them. Utilize your labor to process through them. You must apply greater effort than you express emotion or make excuses. Your consciousness is paramount. You can transform into anything that exists within this world. And it's like the pathway it's your consciousness. The understanding that the only boundaries are your perceptions. If you believe you're in a difficult situation and you'll never escape, you're going to manifest that reality. If you believe, okay, it's a little challenging right now, but let's maintain composure. Let's just stay calm. Let's not worsen the situation. All right, let's establish our position. And now, who understands where they're heading? What I want to express is that yesterday is history, and the present is what your existence is. And you possess the ability to select what that will become. 4 words that'll transform your existence. I do it regardless.
You don't construct an extraordinary existence or enterprise or partnership by waiting for the ideal circumstance. You do it by appearing every single day, irrespective of your emotional state. You do it regardless. That's the method you succeed in the game of existence with the philosophy of I do it regardless. Perhaps the explanation that you desire it so intensely is because your future identity already possesses it. So, just breathe easy. What belongs to you belongs to you. I need you to constantly remember that you're not delayed. Neither are you lagging. You're on your personal timeline, and hurrying won't transport you there any quicker. Some individuals' chapters begin at 20, others 30 or 40 perhaps. But the narrative still develops precisely when it's destined to. What's destined for you will discover you when you're prepared for it, not when you're desperate for it. So cease comparing your velocity to somebody else's curated moments, exactly where you're meant to be. Just don't surrender. Even if presently it doesn't make logical sense, one day I'm very, very certain, when you begin to recognize the connections and circumstances aligned properly, you will perhaps also understand that it couldn't have been alternative. Surrendering was just simply not an inquiry, was simply never a possibility. The champions persist where the defeated halt. So what prevents you transforming into the most complete version? It's the elements in you that murmur to you that you cannot become the things that you aspire toward. It's not typically restrictions, it's limitations. What prevents us are the falsehoods we accept that are not accurate. To propel towards your objective, never contemplate the prospect of defeat. Always advancing, never retreating. Always advancing, never retreating. Never contemplate the prospect of defeat. Your capability to endure in the presence of obstacles and letdowns is essential to all monumental accomplishment, and it's constantly a determination that you execute. It's not the external circumstances, it's constantly the internal circumstances. Possibility combined with hardship, possibility combined with obstacles. We've obtained the opportunity to develop like never previously, but I'm informing you, there's going to be numerous adversaries that's going to attempt to obstruct us. As quickly as you establish the garden, the persistent insects and the harmful vegetation are present to claim it. And you've got to acquire knowledge not only to cultivate your principles, you've got to acquire knowledge to engage in conflict with your adversaries. Whatever intimidates you, I'm requesting you to intimidate it reciprocally. Address your obligation, but don't accept anything off anybody. Excellence has no temperaments. You can't just be in the temperament to be excellent. You can't just be in the temperament to be a dedicated laborer. You can't just be in the temperament to be regimented. It doesn't function that manner. It has to transform into who you are. It has to engulf you. It has to be your character. Despite what I'm experiencing, despite my previous defeats, despite what individuals are communicating about me, I'm going to accomplish it. I'm going to perform. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And existence will appear like it's providing you countless explanations to not perform today. But it's just an examination to determine how intensely you genuinely desire it. The iteration of you that you are presently is why you possess what you possess. You got to execute a complete character transformation to obtain something alternative. And so what transpires is, when individuals aren't prepared to accomplish that, they will constantly return to the accessible outcome that they're familiar with, because your existence will necessitate something alternative. So I was just failing. I continued failing. I continued failing and continued failing, so I had to instruct myself how to fail, correct? And what that signifies is, when I fail, I can't allocate much duration in that failed territory. I have to be capable to rise and pursue the subsequent day just as rapidly. So the significant thing is, understand that if you possess significant objectives and significant aspirations, along the journey, defeat is going to transpire. So how rapidly do you rise from that? The simplest thing in the world to accomplish is to protest, assign responsibility, and surrender and compromise. That's the simplest thing in the world to accomplish. But it requires genuine labor to disassemble and to reconstruct the cognitive process and the perspective of an individual when they're attempting to transform something. You got to adhere to the blueprint. You got to persist to advance steps every single day. Even if circumstances don't consistently succeed, don't waver. Don't just commence to deviate off the pathway because you're not obtaining what you desire. You understand what I signify? And rely on the procedure. Have conviction that things will succeed and that this moment what you're experiencing is instructing you something. In existence, you have to have no anxiety. You have to have no anxiety. You have to have confidence in who you are and what you accomplish, and just go obtain it. What are you waiting for? In complete honesty, what are you absolutely waiting for? You know, there's not just going to be a day where for no reason at all, you're just going to awaken and communicate, I'm going to attend the fitness facility every day in perpetuity. You know, that doesn't genuinely transpire. Most people don't direct their life. They accept their life. And when you accept your life, you're living on things that are not worthy of your duration and effort and vitality. To ascend uphill, you have to be purposeful. Nobody ever ascended uphill by coincidence. You've never examined a booking on coincidental accomplishments. You have to be purposeful with what you accomplish and who you are. As distant as I can determine, it's just about informing the cosmos what you want and laboring toward it while relinquishing how it materializes. Your responsibility is not to determine how it's going to transpire for you, but to access the entrance in your consciousness, and when the entrance accesses an actual existence, just traverse through it. And when I communicate life doesn't transpire to you, it transpires for you. I genuinely don't understand if that's accurate. Why not take an opportunity on conviction as well? But conviction, not aspiration, but conviction. I don't have confidence in aspiration. Aspiration is a supplicant. Aspiration traverses through the inferno, and conviction leaps across it. You comprehend yourself superior than anyone, but sometimes you descend into the trap of having confidence in the world. You're the only one who comprehends what's optimal for you. You don't need to investigate for answers anywhere else. They're contained within you. There's going to be disturbance from every direction. Disregard it. Stay true to yourself, because when you accomplish, every obstacle transforms into a triumph awaiting to happen. Every day, sunrise, sun descends. So that signifies there is an upward, there is a downward. Since we are created, we have inhaled 50% of our durations, we have exhaled 50% of our durations. Our cardiac organ, the same, absorbing the circulation, pumping the circulation, also the same significance, constantly 50-50. Constantly the transaction between left and right, upward and downward, luminous and obscure, inward and outward, achievement and defeat. Understand the most challenging thing to communicate to individuals about achievement? The most challenging thing is to commence. Commence, individual. Every morning when you rise, communicate repeatedly to yourself, accomplish it now. Accomplish it now. Accomplish it now. I accomplish it now. Accomplish it now. Whenever you possess this inclination to postpone, configure your subconscious consciousness with this automatic condition directive. Accomplish it now. Accomplish it now. Accomplish it now. The solution to conquering postponement is to cultivate a sensation of immediacy. Be the category of individual who accomplishes things rapidly. Be the category of individual who initiates rapidly on a responsibility. 5 selections, you understand, in our existence. You understand we can be inadequate at what we accomplish. I signify we can be mediocre at what we accomplish. I signify we can be satisfactory at what we accomplish, or we can be exceptional, or we can be superior. All right? And everybody possesses a selection as to what they desire to accomplish and how they desire to accomplish that. But if you're going to be exceptional or superior, you got to accomplish extraordinary things. You have to possess extraordinary intensity. You have to possess extraordinary concentration. You have to possess an extraordinary dedication and propulsion and enthusiasm, all right, to accomplish things at an elevated level and an elevated standard constantly. It doesn't matter what naturally given capability that you possess. That probably can generate you satisfactory. But without the remainder of it, I'm not certain you ever obtain exceptional or superior. Remember that it's not the circumstances that transpire to you. Like you might not be capable to regulate everything that transpires to you, correct? It's unavoidable. Circumstances are going to transpire that are beyond your regulation. But the one thing that is constantly in your regulation is how you respond, your outlook, your perspective. And that's the thing that you need to be accepting obligation for and accepting responsibility for, is how you respond to these circumstances that transpire to you in existence. Circumstances are going to transpire. You're going to be injured. You're going to obtain confronted with hardship. You're going to be emotionally devastated, correct? You might forfeit somebody. Whatever it may be, there's so numerous circumstances that will transpire to you that aren't in your regulation. And you need to concentrate on responding in the manner that is going to assist you, that is going to cultivate you and assist you advance forward instead of maintaining you immobilized. Don't genuinely permit anybody confiscate that aspiration from you. Cultivate it. Hydrate it like you hydrate the vegetation. Even if you discover only one individual in this world that will acknowledge, welcome, and reinforce your aspirations, discover that individual and aspiration significantly because you can generate it. The objective that you pursue or the reward that you're pursuing is in the labor that you're not accomplishing. No matter where your objective is in terms of its elevation or how unrealistic it may appear, you still got to direct toward it and determine whether or not you'll arrive there subsequently. Something in you has to awaken, and typically the only individual that can awaken it is you. But if you don't possess a little illumination, you're completed. I can't illuminate it for you, and that's the severe reality of this existence that I desire to communicate across so intensely. You have to investigate, examine the interiors of yourself, and what do you genuinely desire out of existence? Cognitions are the language of the cerebrum, and sensations are the language of the physique. And how you contemplate and how you sense creates your condition of existing. So if you contemplate insecure cognitions, in a matter of seconds, you are going to sense insecure. Cerebrum is monitoring how you're sensing, and you contemplate more insecure cognitions, which then generates you sense more insecure. And the repetition of that cycle conditions the physique to transform into the consciousness of insecurity. And whenever you communicate, I am anything, you are commanding your consciousness and physique into a destination. Even if you're exhausted, you can still attend the fitness facility. Even if you're irritated with your partner, you can still communicate in a manner that's affectionate. Even if you don't sense like accomplishing that challenging labor, you can still propel yourself to accomplish it. Your sensations aren't a selection. Your conduct and your cognitions are constantly a selection. Existence is about forfeiture. As duration advances, we forfeit confrontations, we forfeit individuals we cherish, we forfeit our follicles, and then we forfeit our existence. You understand it's all a forfeiture. But from all these forfeitures, we acquire knowledge so substantially. When everything is disintegrating in your existence, when individuals are departing you, when individuals are deceiving you, when individuals are not materializing with their commitment, are you still going to contribute the labor? Are you still going to perform? Are you still going to accomplish today what you communicated to yourself that you would accomplish yesterday? Observing opportunities instead of observing penalties and instead of observing deteriorations in your existence, observing opportunities, it's just going to possess such a substantially superior impact on the manner where you arrive to. Maintain a constant visualization of what it is you desire to accomplish. See it accomplished and dedicate completely. Discover a method to triumph in spite of the obstacles, in spite of the letdowns, in spite of your defeats. I communicate to individuals, defeat your way to success. I possess a communication. Existence impacts you downward, attempting to position on your posterior. Because if you can see upward, you can rise upward. As I'm persisting to advance the steps each and every day and transport in the direction that I comprehend is aligned with, my vocation and my authenticity, then I comprehend that I'll arrive to where I need to be when I need to be there, correct? And all that's accomplishing is diverting you from transporting in a direction that you need to be transporting into, And the more you concentrate on what everybody else is accomplishing, the more you're going to persist to generate determinations that aren't aligned with what you should be accomplishing. Stay who you determine to be. Every adverse thing about you is because you have restricted yourself. You were established apart for magnificence. You were established apart to be unrestricted. You were established apart to transform this world. Listen, discomfort is temporary. Forfeitures is temporary. Obstacles are temporary, but surrendering is eternal. So never be satisfactory or satisfactory enough when you comprehend internally you inhabit someone superior. You didn't arrive this dawns just to compromise. You didn't arrive this dawns to acknowledge whatever. You arrived this dawns to elevate it to your second level. You arrived this dawns to transform into something greater. With each cardiac pulsation, in environments where individuals don't recognize the value of you, you will diminish your talent. Don't restrict the achievement you can have in your existence. And the more concentrated you are on how you're not going to accomplish that, the more existence appears to introduce those circumstances upward for you. It makes them obstacles. I have confidence that when we perish, we encounter the individual we could have encountered. But what we were capable of, the existence we were capable of possessing, I'm pursuing divinity, the sentiment, the recollections, the contribution, the accomplishment. It's essential that you labor on yourself, that you cultivate yourself. It's essential that you get the vitality exhausters out of your life. Individuals who don't desire anything, individuals who are not endeavoring, individuals who are not consuming any vice will lead to self-annihilation, vacancies in your life. And so individuals who think like, no, I'm a human organism. I'm like, nah, companion, you're a human creature. You're a human creature until you arrive to a position of self-cognizance and consciousness, where literally these visual organs just the aperture that you're experiencing existence through, and you can respond and not react. There is no humiliation in desiring something. This whole world is established on desiring something. You've got to disconnect. Genuine self-value originates from accomplishing challenging things. We keep talking about self-love. We keep talking about loving yourself, believing in yourself. That transpires naturally when you traverse through something challenging. The day that transforms your life around. And under this subject, we're going to talk about the sentiments that can transform your life. Human organisms are emotional creatures, and sentiments are powerful for life transformation. Now, of course, sentiments are so powerful, they can go either direction on you. Sentiments can either construct or annihilate. So, you really have to use sentiments appropriately. We designate civilization the intelligent administration of human sentiments. If you can intelligently apply your sentiments in the correct direction, no telling what can happen. Could transform your life around one day. Would be enough. You have to become the category of individual that can propel through the challenging durations. Most people can't do that. Most people cannot propel through the confronting, the exhausting, the frustrating durations that make everybody else surrender. So you have to build yourself into someone who possesses the regiment, the resilience, the determination, the endurance to become someone who is literally incapable of surrendering. What I've acquired knowledge is to constantly maintain advancing. Constantly. No matter what transpires, the storm eventually concludes, and when a torment does conclude, you desire to make sure that you're prepared. Don't deceive yourself. Don't undermine your aspirations by pursuing in cheap gratification. Postpone your satisfaction. Understand that the competition is long and the pathway is challenging, and that you're by yourself. And if you deceive yourself, well, you're going to be deceived by everybody else. Ascend upward. Focus on becoming the optimal iteration of yourself, and don't do the circumstances in existence that are going to set you backward. That which you comprehend you're not supposed to accomplish, you don't accomplish it. The existence that you possess is the existence that you selected. If the existence that you possess is not an existence that you appreciate, generate alternative selections. So the existence that you possess is not an existence that you experience positively. You are accountable. Adhere to it. Circumstances will improve once you transcend this deterioration duration. And the hardship is that individuals can't contemplate of that when they're so despondent and so desperate, then they reach foundation. They can't visualize that circumstances will ever improve. But for those who possess courage and possess conviction and aspiration that circumstances will improve in my existence, they can observe backward a few years subsequently and communicate, astonishing. Observe it me presently. Some possess it and some don't. Some will remain downward and they will never rise upward off the surface, and others will tolerate and they possess courage and they possess aspiration, and existence will improve. It constantly does. Isolation is a perpetual thing. Tragically, Stoicism is established in a moment of isolation. Zeno forfeits everything in a maritime disaster. Seneca's optimal writings originate from exile when he's transmitted distant away from the individuals that he cherishes. Marcus Aurelius is the most powerful individual in the world, but also by the very characteristic of his power and obligation and celebrity, he was isolated, he was solitary, just as you might be today. You have to commence observing uncertainty and transition, and that sensation of, I comprehend there's substantially more to me, as a positive and not an adverse, and commence inclining into it, because permit me communicate you something, there is so substantially more to you. Like you haven't even determined who you completely are yet. Like that is a magnificent thing to comprehend, that there's still more to investigate about yourself, there's still more to acquire knowledge about yourself. You comprehend, and that's a magnificent thing to comprehend that, correct? And so frequently we just permit anxiety, uncertainty, or I desire to regulate everything to maintain us from investigating that, from genuinely you comprehend advancing out of our protective barrier and expanding who we genuinely are. Most individuals never achieve an existence because they're anticipating for circumstances to be flawless. They're anticipating for the solar object to illuminate, the temperature to be correct, all the celestial bodies to coordinate, and then possess some category of indication that communicates them to proceed. And I'm here to communicate you individuals, that will never transpire. Circumstances will never be flawless. Circumstances will never coordinate. There will constantly be an explanation for you to postpone what should be accomplished right now for a subsequent duration. That is an achievement in existence authenticity. There's two methods to observe the world. Some individuals observe the thing that they desire, and some individuals observe the thing that obstructs them from obtaining the thing that they desire. Don't allocate your existence existing for other people, being a container inspector for what sense is correct to them. Position yourself primary. There's nothing inferior than existing with remorse. So accept a hazard, wager on yourself, accomplish the thing that nobody contemplates you can accomplish. Astonish the world. What do you possess to forfeit? A cutting instrument does not transform into resilient until it's been through the combustion several durations, and this is just your primary or secondary duration through the combustion. And there's a substantial quantity of percussion implement labor that has to transpire, and then you're going to have to return in the fabrication facility again, and it's elevated temperature, and it liquefies you downward, and you're uncomfortable. You've got a substantial quantity more fabrication facility duration remaining. You've got a substantial quantity more percussion implement impacts remaining, and it requires duration. Welcome the procedure. You communicate Dwayne. Procedure existence. Welcome the expedition and the procedure of existence. Your challenging labor is compensating in methods that you can't even observe yet, but one day you'll understand, and just comprehend that even when circumstances sensed like they were disintegrating, everything was materializing together precisely how they should. Don't squander your duration. Do you comprehend that everybody animate obtains precisely the same quantity of duration? We obtain all there is. It's what we accomplish with it that generates the difference. Don't squander your existence. Establish your objectives elevated. Terminate thinking about what's in wrong, commence thinking about what's right. Cherish a little more, detest a little less. You possess no conception what you're capable of accomplishing. Generate up your consciousness today. You're going to determine it out. Contemplate of yesterday like a completed chapter in a publication full of instructions. But today it's a fresh page offering us an opportunity to investigate new possibilities. It's not just a transient moment, it's an opportunity, a present filled with potential. Imagine it as a surface anticipating for your unique application strokes. In each present moment, we possess the opportunity to shape our expedition ahead. only possess one opportunity at this existence. You do comprehend that, correct? When the acknowledgments rotate at the conclusion of your cinematic production, at the conclusion of your life, it's just going to communicate supporting performer number 3, and it'll possess your designation. Don't you desire to be the principal celebrity? Don't you desire to be the essential character in your life narrative? Don't you desire to make the optimal determinations for you? Because you inhabit within your consciousness and physique, and you comprehend what you're summoned to accomplish. You comprehend what stimulates you. You comprehend what you passionately obtain stimulated for. Until you triumph, effort constantly proceeds unnoticed if you get accustomed to it. No one reinforces for you until everyone reinforces for you. That's just how it functions. The magnificent part about life is in whatever we do and whatever we pursue and whatever we pursue, if you got two competitors, when they primary commence something, a champion and a defeater has the precise same objective when they primary commenced. But somewhere along the expedition, the procedure, something is going to transpire that's going to examine your level of aspiration. It's going to examine your level of enthusiasm, going to examine your communications, and observe how intensely you genuinely desire what it is that you communicate you desire. If you aspire to be successful, investigate success. If you aspire to be happy, investigate happiness. If you aspire to be prosperous, investigate prosperity. Don't relinquish it to coincidence. Make it an investigation.
The actuality of your existence is constantly now, and I contemplate this as a liberating authenticity about the characteristic of the human consciousness. In fact, I contemplate there's probably nothing more significant to understand about your consciousness than that. If you desire to be content in this world, the history is a recollection. It's a cognition arising in the present. The future is merely anticipated. It is another cognition arising now. Acceptable? What we genuinely possess is this moment. And remember, this expedition of existence, you only obtain one rotation at it. Like you only obtain one opportunity on this planet. And if you are permitting the circumstances that transpire to you dictate and construct your narrative, then what you genuinely accomplishing is you restricting and creating boundaries of how substantially you can accomplish. Most individuals who could exist will never even be created. And you're going to protest about the existence you possess. Accomplish all you can within your power and the power of others who cherish you to maximize all of this. There are inundations materializing. You can absolutely well be certain of that. That's absolutely 100% certain. It's like, are they going to be catastrophes for you, or are you going to navigate them out? Just precisely what category of individual are you going to be when that manifests? And that's the correct inquiry. It isn't how are you going to be content in your existence. You comprehend contentment, you're fortunate. That materializes and departs like the solar object materializing out from behind the atmospheric formation. But a pursuit. No, the pursuit is when the absolute inundation materializes, you desire to be the individual constructive vessel. There are some circumstances in existence that are beyond your regulation, that you can't transform and you got to inhabit with. The selection that we possess, though, is either to surrender or maintain advancing. I desire to request you, what are you going to have confidence in? Are you going to have confidence in yourself? You have confidence everybody else's evaluation on you.
Provide absolution. Many of us do not comprehend that we cannot develop, that we are obstructing ourselves. We are obstructing our positive in the cosmos. We're literally positioning in the direction of the circulation of what existence has to us because we haven't acquired knowledge how to provide absolution. We haven't acquired knowledge how to relinquish circumstances, advance, so we can advance with our existences. When we provide absolution, distinguished individuals, it's not for the other individual. Oh no, it's for you. It's not for them, not because they merited it or they acquired it. You're providing absolution other individuals. First of all, you got to provide absolution yourself. You're going to extract out of your existence. You're going to be the most powerful force in the world. I contemplate is to be consistent with the conceptions, concepts, and value that you maintain for yourself. You will extract that out of your existence what you will tolerate. We commence to confine ourselves within our own consciousness, and our consciousness is this significant barrier, this significant partition. And once we arrive to discomfort and affliction, that partition obtains larger and larger and larger, and the consciousness communicates its duration to surrender. You create your own actuality and you have confidence in it. I had confidence in mine until it disintegrated apart. Your anxieties distort your actuality. Under the twisted reasoning of anxiety, anything is superior than the uncertain. Anxiety fills the vacuum at all expenditures, transferring off what you apprehension for what you comprehend, offering upward the inferior in position of the ambiguous, substituting assumption for reasoning. Now, anxiety is self-actualizing. When you confront the greatest necessity to observe outside yourself and contemplate critically, anxiety executes a retreat profound inside your consciousness, diminishing and distorting your observation, submerging your capability for critical cognition with an inundation of disruptive sentiments. When you confront a compelling possibility to accept action, anxiety persuades you into inaction, enticing you to passively observe its prophecies fulfill themselves. I intensely have confidence that as we commence to observe toward the future, and that is each day we rise upward in the morning, whatever you desire to accomplish, if you rise upward in the morning out of a sensation of all this and determine that I am an accessing for the cosmos, that existence can labor through and utilize me as a channel and as an instrument for transformation. And each day we rise upward, we generated our personal enterprise to generate a distinction. How we're going to accomplish it, we don't comprehend, but we comprehend that we can generate a distinction. What is this force that is regulating you even now and will persist to accomplish so for the remainder of your existence? Discomfort and satisfaction. Everything you and I accomplish, we accomplish either out of our necessity to circumvent discomfort or our aspiration to obtain satisfaction. Understanding and utilizing the forces of discomfort and satisfaction will permit you once and for all to create the enduring transformations and improvements you aspiration for yourself and those you're concerned about. If you disintegrate, the confrontation isn't concluded. In fact, if you disintegrate, the confrontation is just commencing. Here's the authenticity. This is the actuality. Nobody's going to have confidence in you until you've already accomplished it. Nobody's going to materialize and commemorate with you until you've already accomplished it. But labor is going to materialize before the confidence, which signifies you're going to have to labor for an extended duration by yourself with no recognition, with no acknowledgments, with nobody communicating you satisfactory responsibility. And then once you commence to construct something and individuals commence to observe the propulsion and they commence to observe the outcome and you commence accomplishing some circumstances, then you're going to obtain a little confidence. And then what's going to transpire is you're going to have confidence, and then what's going to transpire? You're going to proceed to accomplish a little bit more labor and a little bit more labor. Outcomes are going to materialize more. More individuals are going to have confidence. Nobody has confidence in you because you haven't accomplished anything yet. That's the actuality. I have confidence that everything transpires for an explanation. Individuals transform so that you can acquire knowledge to relinquish advance. Circumstances go incorrect so that you can acquire knowledge to appreciate them when they're correct. And occasionally, positive circumstances disintegrate apart so superior circumstances can disintegrate together. And for most individuals, they contemplate they ascend to the circumstance. When it impacts, I'm going to be prepared. No, you don't ascend to the circumstance, you revert backward to your instruction. Rise upward before the solar object. Be prepared to confront. Yes, that signifies rise upward early. This will be challenging at primary, but it will transform into normal. And once you are accustomed to it, early ascending is guaranteed to generate your day superior. So get after it.
It's like that communication that communicates. Everybody desires to triumph, but everybody doesn't possess the determination to prepare to triumph. It was no longer about what do you desire. Now it's about what are you prepared to traverse through in sequence to obtain it? Everybody desire it. Projecting yourself forward to observe what are the consequences of failing, what are the consequences of terminating, is about as powerful of a motivation strategy as I can contemplate of, because what you're accomplishing is you're attempting to optimize correct now to terminate the discomfort. But what you're going to compensate for that in is humiliation and remorse and regret extended term. So what you need to be capable to accomplish is consolidate all of that upward that is as yet unfelt but will endure for direction extended. You comprehend the future is substantially extended than now. The future is going to extend out upward until the day that you perish, and the now is just for now. And even 130 hours is just 130 hours. And you obtain to observe backward, and do you observe backward with satisfaction and magnificence, or do you observe backward with humiliation and remorse? The explanation you need profound circumstances is because existence is actually a profound problem for everyone. And I signify you can protective backward and inhabit a very conservative existence, and it doesn't terminate you from having to confront the ultimate inquiries of existence. It would be superior if you could. I contemplate if you could confront them complete on. There are going to be durations when you're in an emergency chamber and, inclined to disturbance and to weep and to disintegrate downward and to disintegrate and to be of no utility to anyone around you. And that's not the correct method to be. The correct method to be in a situation like that is to be resilient and dependable. And I don't contemplate you can accomplish that without being sagacious. At some position in existence, we got to awaken upward and we got to communicate no more. We have to awaken upward and we got to communicate. Individual, this is it. We got to awaken upward and communicate, I'm going to generate a transformation of distinction. We can't just be online observing circumstances, communicating affirmation, all the circumstances, and return backward to the same circumstances, all individuals. It doesn't labor like that. Perceiving circumstances is magnificent, but you know what? Accomplishing circumstances and accepting action, that's what's going to generate transformation in your existence. You need to commence generating some determinations. You aren't obligated to transform everything, but you need to communicate, you know what? This is the one thing I'm going to terminate being dedicated to, and this is the one thing I'm going to commence being dedicated to. You've possessed enough letdown. Occasionally, your cerebrum doesn't desire to obtain disappointed. So it's a permanent problem? No problem is permanent. Only your essence is permanent. Nothing's eternal. Everything transforms. Everything eventually concludes and something new commences. That's part of existence. Those are the seasons of existence. You have to forfeit your anxiety of defeat. Defeat is a part of the procedure. Individuals who never defeat never attempt. You have to defeat. You got to obtain it incorrect to obtain it correct. You acquire knowledge nothing from triumphant. You only acquire knowledge from your defeats. That you were created to accomplish something magnificent with your existence. That you're adequate, that you're extraordinary, that you're privileged, that you're selected, irrespective of where you originate from, irrespective of what you've been transporting with you. But every day, some of us are annihilating ourselves with the humiliation we transport from something we've accomplished, some degradation, some anxiety. We position this firearm to our cranium every day that communicates us we're not adequate, we're not resilient enough, attractive enough, intelligent enough, privileged enough, that we're destined. And we transport these firearms in our cranium every day that humiliate us, that confiscate our confidence from us, that confiscate our contentment. And there's a superior method forward. You can position those circumstances downward in your existence. You could determine today that you were created to accomplish something magnificent. Without dedication, you'll never commence. But more significantly, without consistency, you'll never conclude. Maintain laboring, maintain endeavoring, never surrender. Descend downward 7 durations, rise upward 8. Simplicity is a greater intimidation to advancement than hardship. In existence, you don't possess just one attempt. You see, the only distinction between you and anybody that has created the circumstances that you desire in existence is that they just maintained attempting repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly again until they obtained what they desired. In existence,